Yes, people, you know the vibes, you know what time it is. It's G, and we are back in the building, and we're here for another match reaction as Liverpool get their League Cup campaign underway with a 3-1 victory against Leicester City. Now, it was very entertaining game, as you guys can obviously see scrolled across the bottom, as per usual, as is the theme with Liverpool this season. They went 1-0 down, but came roaring back in the second half via goals from Gakpo, Szoboszlai, and Diogo Jota. We're going to get into just taking a look at a couple of the players' performance as an overall, and where this kind of leaves Liverpool heading into their game against Tottenham at the weekend. Guys, please make sure you're smashing that like button. Please make sure you're sharing, and please make sure you do subscribe. And let me know in the comment section, how do you rate that performance out of 10? Who was your man of the match? Let's get into it.
Now you know I'm coming through. When the growth look good on you, best believe they wanna screw now. I've been trying to climb, devil threw me in the dark. Baby, don't be insecure, you can still go make a mark like blow. Could never let them drain my soul now. Blow. Table turning like doorknobs, wow. Blow. I think I'm about to set sail. I'm a walking, living legend, walking with my chest out. Life keep dealing me cards, I keep fitting in.
What's happening, people? What is happening, G? And we're back in the building. As I mentioned before, we're here for a match reaction Liverpool game against Leicester City in the Carabao Cup third round. So obviously Liverpool will progress to the next round of the Carabao Cup with that 3-1 victory. We all saw the Dominic Szoboszlai rocket after coming off the bench to help rescue Liverpool as per usual. Looking at the game in terms of as a whole, as an overall, I felt like it was a decent performance from Liverpool. We overwhelmed Leicester City. I give a lot of credit though, and I respect Leicester City. I mean, I haven't watched them, I think I've only watched them once this season, and I did not realize that is the way that they, the new manager wants them to kind of play. He really trusted his players, and they kind of trusted their own abilities, even though they were coming to Anfield, coming up against Liverpool. No matter, obviously, that they knew that Liverpool were going to rotate the side and stuff like that. But ultimately, the kind of performance that they were putting in, especially in that first half, really good in my opinion. As much as I felt we did start to overwhelm them, they were popping the ball about. They were comfortable playing with the ball in their box. Yes, there were a few hairy moments for them, but more or less every single goal kick, they were popping it out at the back. They weren't afraid. They didn't care about Liverpool's press, and they were quite good at times at beating, Liverpool's press, which then obviously left Liverpool quite wide open. Now, obviously, the first goal coming more from Liverpool's corner, and then obviously them breaking away. But just in a general sense, I was intrigued. I really was intrigued. I really like the way that I'm gonna have to start watching Leicester, a bit more. But I really like the way that they play. I really do like that kind of style of football. The way that they do pop it out at the back, the way that they can build up from the back to front. I mean, if they in the Championship, obviously they're doing really well. But you can kind of see if they can continue that. I mean, they've got some decent players. I mean, they brought in Didi off the bench, Dak off the bench. They've still got Jamie Vardy there, as well. Dewsbury Hall, Justin as well. They got some very decent players. So it was always going to be a tough test, for Liverpool. Even though they are in the Championship, they still got, some, would I say, quote unquote Premier League players. So yeah, it was an interesting one, man. It was an interesting one. But as I mentioned before, Liverpool deserved the victory. By the end of the game, we were having shots, get saved off the line, hitting the bar. I still don't know how Doak didn't score. I don't know how Jota didn't score just before that. It was a crazy game, man. And I felt like Liverpool did thoroughly, deserve that victory. But yet again, another game, another goal conceding first in that first half, slow-ish kind of start. Even the fact that we were pressing them, as much as we was actually pressing them, I never at once felt that Leicester were really that scared or worried. Usually a team will abandon, what they their principles, or they'll abandon their kind of style of play, especially the way that we were trying to press them. You would have thought at some point in that first half, they would just kind of abandon what they were doing, but they never did it. Not once. Like the whole game, they just didn't abandon it. And I give respect to Leicester City, for that, because even as the game kind of continued and, we're getting towards the end of the game, they were having a few moments. Obviously, we saw with the Ndidi, bursting through Liverpool's back line like it wasn't even there. And obviously Kanate then obviously coming round to obviously sweep it up and stuff like that. But yeah, as a whole, yeah, I think that was a 7.5, 8 out of 10 performance from Liverpool. I think that's the highest I've given them this season. I mean, it's against a championship outfit, so I guess there's context, obviously, that's got to be applied with that. But ultimately, they got the job done. We brought on the big boys to come and save the day. Second half, as I mentioned in my tweet I put out earlier, second half activate, and I just knew, again, another 3-1 victory as well. We really do like that kind of scoreline. But I do think that the reason why we like that scoreline so much, bar that Newcastle game where the goals came so close to the end of the game, I think the reason why 3-1 seemingly, from what I can kind of tell, the reason why we like that scoreline so much and we seem to be getting it is I think that 2-1 Liverpool are not safe. With the way that we play and stuff like that, Liverpool are never really and truly safe. I always feel like teams will, as any team would, you'd feel you're still kind of in the game if it's only one goal that you do need to score. So 3-1 is always cool. And it's usually always near the end that we do get that third goal in that 85th kind of plus kind of minutes. But yeah, 3-1, another game, another victory, and Liverpool remain unbeaten. Now, today, or this evening, should I say, I just wanted to take a quick look, not quick look, but just talk about a couple of players who caught my eye for various different reasons, in the game for Liverpool. I think we'll start off with the one that everyone keeps calling, Steven Gerrard. Why not? Why not? Why not? Scored an absolute rocket, man. And I think that goal, I was almost proud of that kind of goal, because I said, this is what I want to see from Szoboszlai. I don't care about all the running crap. I don't care about all of the passes that I've seen, like a million times over. I don't care about none of that stuff. This is what Szoboszlai can obviously do. He can, he has got those long range shots, in his locker. He has got that kind of ability in his locker. And we do need to kind of maybe unlock that a little bit more. Obviously, we kind of needed the goal, to kind of put us ahead. So maybe he felt like he needed to take the onus on himself, to kind of, put Liverpool in front, and just kind of take a bit more control. We were overwhelming them, but I felt like it was very chaotic, and I didn't really feel like the midfield were having too great of a game. I reckon we were kind of on par, really, with theirs. If I'm being totally honest with you, I don't really feel like Liverpool's midfield was that good. If I'm being totally honest, we had good bits, but I don't really feel like it was that good. But when he came on, you can just see he's a class above, everybody else, that was on the pitch, at that moment in time. And I felt like when he did come on, it was almost like even the crowd, you can hear them. They were kind of like warming to it. They were kind of hyped. Obviously, Nunes obviously coming on as well, and they were chanting for him. But I just felt like when he came on the pitch, it was almost like the rest of the players felt like they almost had to step up their own game, kind of thing. But yeah, Dominic Szoboszlai, man, really good player, man, really good player. Just I hope to see a lot more from him. In the future. I think, as I said, he's got that kind of shot, those kind of goals in his locker. Just hopefully we can see a lot more of that, and hopefully Klopp will obviously trust him, to kind of do that a bit more, in games. But ultimately, he got the job done today, or this evening, should I say. Another player I wanted to take a quick look at. We'll start off with this guy here, Captain Scouser, captain for this evening. Obviously proud. Well, I think he's captained the team before, actually, but another proud moment, for him to be able to captain his boyhood club. Playing in a new position, played in a bit of a new position. Klopp's really trying out this kind of inverted. If I take the banner off for you guys, Klopp's really trying this kind of inverted thing. He really is what he does. Really want to stick with it, and testament to him. He wants the team to understand. Well, he wants anyone playing in that position to understand what it means to play, in that kind of position. And Curtis Jones happened to be the guy who played there, today. I know we saw the team sheet. Obviously Endo playing as well. I know a lot of people thought, oh wow, Endo might be the one playing right back, but nah, it was Curtis Jones. a bit of an indifferent game, if I'm being honest, from Curtis Jones. Didn't really feel like he was too comfortable in that position. Obviously, getting him, he got himself forward and stuff like that. He got himself up the pitch, trying to obviously affect play. And obviously, we know how good he is, on the ball and stuff like that. We know that he's got a decent pass on him as well. But yeah, I didn't feel like he didn't look comfortable, in my personal opinion, watching him in that position, trying to invert. A couple of times he was getting caught out there. He was decent in a couple of the 1v1s. That he did have, but I didn't really feel like he was that comfortable overall, if I'm being totally honest with you. And obviously, I'm presuming that's not a position that he's going to, obviously play. But I get why he probably went more with a Curtis Jones in that position, as opposed to potentially going with an Endo, maybe because he wanted a bit more steel with Endo in the middle of the park, as opposed to putting Jones, in there. And being kind of like the number 6, quote unquote, or quote unquote number 6. But he felt like maybe having Jones alongside, an Endo, being able to help in certain defensive situations, why not? And I actually kind of get that, to be honest with you. I actually do get that, which is rare for me to say about Jurgen Klopp, understanding what he's trying to do. But yeah, I understood kind of why he wanted to do it that way instead of doing it the reverse way, which is Endo at that kind of right inverted role, cutting into that into the middle of the park. But yeah, overall, I don't want to see Curtis Jones ever playing, in that position again. Don't think he was all that, if I'm being totally honest with you. But he did a job there. Obviously, as I said, captaining the team, to victory. So yeah, it was an all round, it was a decent game from him. Another player I wanted to take a look at was this guy here, Endo. Wataru. Again, a lot of people, talking about this guy here. A lot of people. It was a bit. I don't know. Obviously, look, social media. Ultimately, you don't take that for gospel. But a lot of people I see, kind of getting onto him a little bit. I felt like he was all right in the game. Like he had his moments. Don't get twisted. He had his moments, in the game, playing in the middle of that part. But he was kind of, as you can see with the heat map, he was kind of everywhere. If I'm being totally honest with you, yeah, I felt like he was trying to put himself about. He was trying. That was something that I felt like was quite evident with him. I felt like he was genuinely trying, to kind of show like, hey, look, I can be a part of this team, and all that kind of stuff. So, and Andy got himself obviously the assist as well. So I felt like it was an okay performance from him. I don't feel like the people getting onto him. I'm like, I don't know. I don't feel like it was that bad. Created 2 chances in the game. Obviously had a shot in the game. Successful dribbles, accurate long balls, 5 out of 5. Won the 1 tackle that he obviously had in the game, but it was his recoveries and his defensive actions that I really liked in the game. Even there were times, again, I'm more convinced now, especially, seeing Endo, in that position, seeing a couple other players who have played Curtis Jones kind of filling in that position at various different times this season. I'm more convinced than ever. It is just tactically the way that we set up it, because these players playing in this DM position, all of them just look like they get bypassed all the time. Like it doesn't really matter. And again, it's not like Leicester were doing like a Mazza or anything like that. What they were really good at in the game was popping the ball about and passing around the press and stuff like that, and able to find certain gaps, whether it be out wide or even through the middle, where they would always seem to have a spare man in there, would always have a free player, in that kind of between, like just behind the midfield area, and then going on to the attack. And that Iniacho, potentially dropping a bit deeper to collect the ball. Iniacho, I actually thought Iniacho, as he was pretty decent in the game. His hold up play I felt was okay as well. I felt like him against both Kanate and Kwanzaa, I felt like he was all right. I felt like he was all right. But in terms of like looking at Endo, that's why I felt like Endo didn't really have such a bad game. Yeah, do you get what I'm trying to say? Because I just feel like it's not, I don't feel like anymore it's the players, so to speak. Yes, the players, obviously, if they were better in that position, maybe we might see different results. But it's the way that we set up, man. It's set up in a kind of way where it's not really built. The Liverpool system that we have here isn't really built for a DM, to really thrive in this team, because so many players might just fill in and rotate, within that role. 1 minute you might see Endo there, next minute, I don't know, you might see a Jones there, you might see a Gravenberch, in that kind of position. I feel like it rotates for everybody. So when there's no DM, I kind of now understand it. And again, I feel like it's by design. I do feel like it's by design, and I do feel like maybe that's one of the reasons why we weren't really going hell-bent to pick out, that defensive midfielder or defensive destroyer that, everybody wanted. Ground duels in the game, poor from Endo. Aerial duels he was really, really good at, which is so weird. The guy looks super short. But yeah, that's why I felt like he had a decent game. I don't think people should be getting onto him, so much. But, it kind of is what it is. And the last player I wanted to take a quick look at was Ben Doak. Interesting game from him. Interesting game. With Ben Doak, you can see the promise from him. You can see the promise. You really, really can. He's a really good dribbler of the ball. He's got the pace. More often than not, he's kind of got the beating, of his man, over there on that right-hand side / the opposition's left-hand side. At times, he had Justin on toast, and then again, he's young, but at the same time, I'm not going to make any excuses. That final ball at times, I just think like you obviously he's going to learn through experiences and things like that. But I have seen him, when he is playing for the younger age groups and stuff like that, for the under 21s. I have seen that he can deliver a ball into the box, but I just feel like at times, like, he's, I don't know, man, it's just a bit rash. And I like Ben Doak a lot, man. I think Ben Doak's a very, very good prospect for Liverpool. But yeah, that final ball, man, you need to really pattern that up. He's everything leading up to it is seemingly good. He can maybe he can refine a few bits and bobs, but I like it. Like I'm not trying to pinpoint anything specific with that. I'm good with how the lead up to that, but the end part, I'm just like, I feel like you definitely need to improve upon that. It's more your composure, in those kind of areas. But again, he'll develop that obviously, with time. In the future, hopefully we'll obviously get better at that. Should have scored as well. He's not the only one. Jota should have scored before he actually scored his goal. But, again, he'll be disappointed with that because it was a gilt-edged chance. He should be putting that in the back of the net regardless. AJ ain't got nothing to do with that. That was just, I haven't got a clue how that even happened. But yeah, he should be putting that in the back of the net. But I feel like he would know that. He would know, obviously, that's an opportunity, kind of missed, for him. But as I mentioned, man, overall, like I said, a 7.5, 8 out of 10, for Liverpool. There were a couple of moments, but I felt like overall in the game, we were quite dominant, within that. Taking a look here, those are the only players. So Doak, Jones, Szoboszlai, and Endo, they were really the only kind of players who kind of either caught my eye or, I felt like, okay, cool. Gravenberch was pretty decent. In the middle again, obviously got himself, I think, the assist for Cody Gakpo. I felt like, bringing the ball forward, he was pretty decent. Again, it's like because when I'm looking at the numbers, but even just looking at the game, but looking at the numbers in terms of defensively, recoveries wise, I think Liverpool were pretty decent from more or less all of the midfielders that we had. But in terms of the duels, and that's kind of what I look at quite a lot when I'm looking at midfield players. The recoveries are the recoveries. I guess it is what it is kind of thing. I'm not gonna really get onto players too much for that, whether it's low or not. But the duels I look at, and I felt like Liverpool players, their duels, it wasn't really popping like that, if I'm being honest with you. And again, none of them are really DMs. None of them are really defensive minded. So does that play a part into it? Again, the way that we want to set up and things like that. But as I said, Gravenberch, I felt like was all right in the game. Fotmo obviously given Gakpo 8.8. I generally thought Gakpo was kind of dead, really, in the game. I don't really feel like he was doing too much. He definitely didn't warrant that scoreline that score that they kind of gave to him. Neither did Jota either, to be honest with you. I don't think that they were. I felt like they were quite average in the game, if I'm being totally honest with you. I felt like they were average. But like, remember, I'm saying that they were average. Their average, it's still going to be better than Leicester. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Again, this is Leicester in the bloody Championship. So, their average ain't going to be so low, right? If they played like that against not even Man City, like against Brighton or something like that, maybe you might have had a few more problems. But, it is what it is. Tsimikas, I thought he was shit. I just thought he was actually so dead. In that first half, he was so dead. He got decent delivery, but we kind of know that already. But yeah, I thought he was defensively. I thought he was dead. He was getting turned on that side as well. All Brighton, quick shifts. Yeah, it was looking. Obviously, he was at fault. Would we say for the goal? People saying it was a foul. Doesn't really matter. It was a goal at the end of the day. Wasn't really too happy with his performance. Kelleher didn't really have much to do outside of that goal. I felt like he could have. I felt like so. Again, this is just me being critical. When that goal went in, I was looking at it thinking Ali would have come out there. Ali definitely would have come out and just swept that. But it's not his fault, so I'm not gonna. Again, that's just the difference between elite goalkeepers in their thinking and someone of Kelleher's kind of level. But it's not his fault or anything like that. But outside of that, I felt like he was okay. Konate, didn't think Konate. I think Konate. I feel like Jones. Yeah, Jones was better than Konate. I didn't feel like Konate was really, again, he'd be the most senior player in that defense. And I don't feel like I saw a senior performance from him. I felt like I saw that from Jarrell Kwanzaa, though. Kwanzaa played really, really well. And he really is impressing me in these performances that I've seen, from him this season. I felt like, again, Jarrell Kwanzaa, a very mature performance, obviously up against Inacho. Look, Inacho is a good striker. Do you get what I'm trying to say? And to come up against someone like him, I felt like he did obviously get the better of it overall. We got the better of him, but there were, again, a bit of for both him and Konate. Konate is rash. Konate likes to dive into challenges and do stupid things. But Kwanzaa, he did it a couple of times, but then the other times he seemed to just understand positionally. You don't get tight to players like Inacho. You don't do things like that. Konate was constantly trying to do that. I think you might have won maybe like once or twice in terms of the challenges, but yeah, you don't do it to players like that. They will spin you. They are very, very strong, got good core strength with players like Inacho. Like he was holding his own, when it came to Konate and Kwanzaa, to be honest with you. So, you just got to be careful with smart strikers like that, because they will use that against you. And he was dropping deep a bit. And I felt like at times, Konate, you don't need to come out. Kwanzaa, I don't feel like you need to come out either. But again, that's why I'm looking to Konate really to kind of just showed me like, yo, bro, like, I'm the senior defender here. I'm going to kind of marshal this defense. I feel like he was poor today as well. I felt like he wasn't as poor as Tsimikas, but he was, in my opinion, he was quite poor. But overall, in an overall sense, I felt like, the team was, it was that kind of performance. It's like we didn't have to be excellent and we could have scored a lot more goals. Obviously, the goals that were, saved on the line, hit bars and stuff like that. Leicester obviously riding their luck, at times in the game. But I didn't really feel like we ever needed to really be that good, to be honest with you. Obviously, we're a class above them anyway. We're a league above them. So, I kind of expect that to a certain degree. But ultimately, we did get the job done. But I felt like Liverpool looked a lot better when Szoboszlai came onto the pitch because you could just tell that the class was just kind of there. We were more showing it in glimpses and stuff like that. Do I expect more? Obviously, of course, we're playing against a championship side. I expect you to completely show your class more than anything. Not really bothered about you overwhelming them because we're always going to do that against any team. I'm more, looking at the way that you play and stuff like that. But ultimately, getting that 3-1 victory was obviously vitally important. My man of the match for the game. Man of the match. Who did I feel had a good game? Between maybe Endo and Gravenberch. Yeah, between Endo and Gravenberch, I'd probably say. When I'm thinking about it now, like I said, I thought Endo was all right. I feel like you guys were getting onto him. I feel like you're being a bit harsh on that. Obviously he had his moments and that, but I felt like he was all right. But between those two, can't really pick. I feel like they're almost both the same in terms of overall in the game. So yeah, I'll if I had to pick one, fuck it, I'll go with Endo. I feel like I did feel like he was all right. For me anyway. In what I wanted to kind of see from him, on the pitch, passing, showing for the ball and stuff like that. Yeah, obviously at times he was getting bypassed, he was getting bullied off the ball and stuff like that. But overall, I felt like he was okay. I felt like he was okay enough, for us in the middle of the park. But people, that is the end of the video. Let me know your man of the match. Let me know what you thought of the performance. Obviously heading into the game against Tottenham at the weekend. Obviously Liverpool again remain unbeaten as well. The second half King strike again. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting game at Tottenham. Going to be a real interesting game. Can Liverpool again go behind and obviously get the victory? Will they need to go behind? Will they just obviously come out the blocks? It all remains to be seen. We've had players obviously bench and didn't come on. Players who we got to rest. Salah, Van Dijk, Trent obviously You know, we were able to kind of give these guys a bit more of a rest, Allison as well. So we should be in good nick. We should be in really, really good nick at the weekend. And it's going to be an interesting game. But make sure you guys obviously head on over to the Jerry James Show. He'll probably be doing a preview for the game. I might be on there, maybe not. But again, if not, you guys will catch me for my match reaction for that Tottenham game. Hopefully, Liverpool get the victory. I do not want to be ending my weekend upset. So please, Liverpool. And please, I do ask for one thing from Liverpool, just one thing. Can you stop conceding goals? It's getting boring now. It's really, really getting boring now. I don't know how sustainable this is going to be, but we keep getting the victory. So really, it is clearly sustainable enough because we're getting the victory. So I guess I'm caught between a rock and a hard place. So does it even really matter? But guys, make sure you like, make sure you share, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'm G, and we are outie.